Hello everyone, this is Dr. Carolyn Maria, working as an assistant professor in Loyola College of Education, Chennai. The title of the course is Knowledge and Curriculum, which comes under Course 8. We are going to focus on Unit 5, Education and Democracy. This video lecture is planned in such a way that we'll be learning about the meaning of democracy and democratic education, Dewey's concept of democracy and education, democratic practices in India, education in the democratic society, multiculturalism and education. The learner will be able to gain knowledge about democracy, democratic education, and multiculturalism, understand Dewey's concept of democracy and education, identify the democratic practices in education. Let's learn what is democracy. Democracy word came from Greek origin two words demos and kratia. Demos means the people, kratia means power or rule. So democracy means the power or rule of the people. Democracy is a government in which the supreme power is vested on the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation, usually involving periodically held free elections. India is called as a democratic country. Hope you know. We are given complete freedom to go for voting or selecting our own national leaders. So the supreme power is vested on the people of India to go for our own selection of our national leaders, by which our government is called as a democratic government. So democratic education means what? Democratic education is an educational ideal in which the democracy of both the goal as well as the method of instruction. It brings democratic values to education as justice, respect and trust. So democratic education is a sort of education system wherein freedom is given to the students as well as to the teachers. So that is what is called as democratic education. Let's now focus on some more points of democratic education. Education which aims at the maintaining of human dignity, equity, freedom, justice in relation to all our social affairs is what called as democratic education. The Institute of Democratic Education in America, IDEA, defines learning that equips every human being to participate in all educational activities is what called as democratic education. John Locke said that nothing the children can learn should be a burden to them or imposed to them. The children should be given complete freedom for learning. Rousseau in Emily, he promotes democratic education through child-centered education. There is a school called the Summerhill School in England, which was established in the year 1921. In 1921 established school, voluntary class attendance is taken. The students take the attendance on their own, and school meeting with board powers are also practiced for the students. Students are given to participate in the school meeting with the board members in order to take decision. So that sort of democratic values are followed in the school called Summerhill School in England. Let's now discuss some of the democratic practices in education in India. In India, there is a concern for the dignity and rights of every individual, especially with regard to the minorities also. Right to Education Act has given freedom to all the people to get themselves enrolled in any educational institution with regard to government institution, and they get themselves free and compulsory education. And this democratic practices in India supports the establishment of educational institutions by the minorities. You could see so many institutions run by the minority people. And this National Policy of Education in 1986, it has given a common system of education. It has motivated the people to go for common system of education. So the National Commission for Protection for Child Rights also gives an opportunity for examining and review and ensuring and implementing good system of education. And for example, this SSA Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, RMSA Rashtriya Madhyamik Siksha Abhiyan, RUSA Rashtriya Uchatar Siksha Abhiyan, all these are the government policies which are increasing the dignity of people in relation to education, and they are promoting education for all. And another democratic practice what we have is concern for the welfare of others for the common good. For example, midday meal program which is prevailing in India. This midday meal program in Tamil Nadu started by Kamarajar, and that is helping all the people, those who are marginalized, those who are not able to afford for food, they are given free food. That is what called as midday meal program, and it treats all the students equally, and no groupism is formed based on the level of performance, because all the students are expected to be seated in the class equally. There is no separate arrangement is done for the gifted children, those who are rank holders, or the ones those who are low achievers, like that. An inclusive environment is provided in schools, and remedial teaching is also provided to the underachieved students in order to enhance their learning. Faith in the individual and collective capacity of people to create possibilities for resolving problems is also prevailing in India. For example, public opinions are invited. In this National Policy of Education, the draft 2019 policy has invited public opinion. So, by which people can give their own opinion in relation to revamping the policy. Same way, it will help the people to represent different social group in the process of curriculum framing. With regard to curriculum framing, people from different culture, people from different varied languages also join together by framing the curriculum. So multiple learning sources in the form of textbook, teaching learning material, e-content, all these are developed, and it is given for public for free, and people are using that. And this open flow of ideas are also followed in democratic practices in India, because the people are given proper information with regard to all these government policies and programs, either by newspaper or even by the websites. The National Repository of Open Education Resources encourage open flow of ideas to promote quality education. Everyone is given freedom to give their own opinion in Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, or mail. Through mail, they can give their own opinion in relation to the present education system. So, government has given that freedom. That is a democratic practice we do have in India. It will evaluate the ideas, problems, and policies. For example, this democracy welcomes the new ideas, and it will examine in detail to ensure the policies whether they are beneficial for everyone. For example, at present, this draft of New Education Policy 2019, people were talking about this three language problem. Okay, so which we are facing in Tamil Nadu. All these ideas are given, people are given freedom to express all their ideas and examine all the policies. Okay, so the democratic practices in India promote and extend the democratic way of life. For example, the professional educators, parent, community activists, and other citizens, they all having equal rights to fully informed about all their critical participation and creating the school policies and programs for themselves, as well as even for the young people. So every person has each and every person has equal rights to get to know about all the government policies. Democracy as a set of values to be lived. One must practice the democratic values than just simply preach. We should walk with what we talk. So that is what is emphasized in India. Curriculum in democratic school should help the students, or should invite the students to get themselves involved in the decision making process, by which we can frame the need based curriculum. And voluntary courses also should be offered to the students in order to promote their learning, in order to meet all their expectation. And the administrative structure in democratic school should provide equal opportunity to all the students as well as parents and even the other stakeholders to take part in all the decision making. So meeting in democratic schools should be open for all the staff as well as the students, so that the staff, students and parent can voice their opinion, they can share their own views. And every school should have parent teacher association where regular periodical meetings should be conducted, and parents should be informed with regard to any change in the school policy. For example, hike in school fees, change in school timing, etc. All these should be properly informed to the parents. Let's now learn the role of education in a democratic society. Democracy must be lived to be learned. In a democratic society, with regard to education, we are supposed to have democratic classrooms where the values should be given importance and students should be inculcated a value called ownership, that is sense of belongingness, and they should be given autonomy, that is independence, and among the diversity they should respect each other, and critical thinking should be promoted, decision making, independent thinking. All these values should be given much importance in a democratic classroom. With regard to democratic pedagogy also, cooperative learning, collaborative strategies, inclusive education, project work, all these should be promoted in pedagogy. In relation to the curriculum construction, we should involve the students, parent as well as even the other stakeholders in the construction of curriculum. Then only we can go for a need-based curriculum. If the suggestion is valid from the parent or the student, and if the suggestion is useful, it should be incorporated in the curriculum construction. With regard to the feedback of the stakeholders, parent, teachers, students and all the employers should be encouraged to give feedback, which will give, and that feedback should be a constructive feedback. It should not be just criticism. So those constructive feedback for the better improvement of the educational institution should be considered. And the role of website, school website and school newsletter plays a very major role. So the website and the newsletter should be a platform in order to procure information with regard to school agenda and with regard to whatever happening in the school. Everything should be transparent in the school website and newsletter. What is the role of parent in a democratic society in relation to education? Parents are expected to give constructive feedback, and they should be aware of what are all the school activities done. And parents should render contribution either through any resources or even through services for the betterment of the school. And parents should come forward to actively participate in parent teachers association meeting, and they should show their interest towards the school activities. What is the role of educational authorities? Educational authorities are the management people. They should avoid the autocratic administration. Rather, they should promote democratic administration by considering the ideas of parents, teachers, students and all the other stakeholders. They should encourage the staff to try their own innovative teaching learning methodology. Syllabus is given by government, and the management should give freedom to the teachers in order to follow their own method of teaching. And this educational authority should create a cooperative culture to share the responsibilities among the students as well as among the teachers, okay, in relation to keeping the school campus spick and span, etc. What is the role of teacher in relation to the democratic society? Teachers are considered to be the perennial learners. There is no end for learning with regard to the teaching profession. So teachers are expected to learn and get themselves updated in order to avoid becoming an obsolete. And they need to understand the students and respect the views of the students. And teachers are expected to try new innovative strategies. And teachers are expected to give suggestions to the authorities for the improvement of school, and they should be highly involved and they should be loyal to their own profession. What is the role of the students? Students can respect the other student, their own peers, and students are expected to respect the teachers as well as even the management, and student can participate in all the educational activities, especially with regard to the curriculum construction, and students should have self-discipline. And it is possible by setting their own rules. If you give the freedom to the students to set their own rules in order to follow for the whole academic year in their classroom, they can follow and they can have their own self-discipline. So students should be given freedom along with their sense of responsibility and duties. Let's now focus on John Dewey's concept on democracy and education. He said, the inclination to learn from life itself and to make the conditions of life such that all will learn in the process of living is the finest product of schooling. So schooling should enable every person to learn. Learning would make a person to become an enabled person and to become a better person. Let's focus on John Dewey's concept of democracy and education. He said, good education should have both societal purpose as well as the purpose of the individual student. As we know already, education should make a person self-reliant person. So that is the purpose of an individual. Ultimately, that will end up in the societal purpose. That is societal improvement also. Educators are responsible for providing the students with valuable experiences which enable the students to contribute for the society. So each student should become a responsible student in order to give a positive contribution to the society. John Dewey criticizes the traditional education for lacking the holistic understanding of students and designing curricula overly focused mainly on the content rather than the well-being of the society as well as the individual. The fixed curriculum which we follow in the traditional method of learning is not giving any opportunity for the student to go and explore themselves for various other learning. Rather, we are making them slaves. He advocates progressive learning. Educators must first understand the nature of human experiences. So, we should give much importance for experiential learning. Students should not be just given only the theoretical inputs and they should not be assessed only based on their memory. Rather, they should be given opportunity to get themselves exposed. For example, any project work could be given by doing the project, by getting themselves involved in the process of doing the project, they learn more values. They learn the team spirit, cooperative learning. They come across with many values. So that sort of progressive learning should be there. That is the idea of John Dewey. So Dewey's theory is that experience arises from interaction of two principles. Number one is continuity, another one is interaction. Continuity is that each experience of a person will influence his future for better or even worse. That's what I said. When you want to make a student to learn something, give them a project. So by which, while doing the project, they learn some values. Those values they will apply in their future learning also. So the learning becomes a continuous process. Same way, interaction refers to the situational influence of one's own experience. So this interaction between the students and interaction with the process will enable the student to go for further more experiences. So all these experiences only will help a student to learn better. Let's focus on the next concept called multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is a word that describes the society wherein many culture people live together. India is a classic example for multiculturalism, where you could have so many people living together, sharing one land, but having different ideas, following different rituals, having different culture, following different methods, all that is possible in India, which describes the existence, acceptance, and promotion of multiple cultural tradition within a definite setup. It is reflected in our curriculum also. So this multiculturalism is reflected in our curriculum, textbook, and as well as all the educational programs. Traditional approach of multiculturalism in education invites us to celebrate diversity with progressive idea of social justice. What is multicultural education? Multicultural education refers to any form of education of teaching that incorporates the histories, text, values, beliefs, and perspectives of people from different cultural backgrounds. It involves the stakeholders in the decision-making process. It examines the school climate and culture and the role played by both students as well as the staff. It gathers information on what is currently being done to promote multicultural education. It establishes the school-wise activities throughout the year that support the multicultural theme. So multicultural themes are the different themes in relation to the religion, gender, age, socio-economic status. All these inputs should be given in relation to education. Multicultural education relates to the education and instruction which is designed for the cultures of several different races in an education system. In your classroom is a classical example. In your classroom, you can come across with students from different cultural background, but only one sort of education, same sort of education is given to all the people. This approach to teaching and learning is based upon the respect, fostering the cultural pluralism within the racial societies. So multicultural education acknowledges and incorporates the various culture into one classroom atmosphere where the students should be given enough opportunities to learn from each other as well as to respect other culture. What is the relationship between multiculturalism and education? Through curriculum is a vehicle to promote multiculturalism. So through curriculum, we are supposed to promote multiculturalism. By appreciating the work of literature, one is able to get the glimpse of culture of other people. So by learning learning the work of literature or history or learning so many subjects, which gives us an opportunity to learn about other culture, other people, their civilization, etc. For example, through commerce, we are able to live a comfortable life due to the internal and external trade. All these information are given to us only through curriculum. So each subject plays a major role in the life of a human being in relation to transacting the multiculturalism to generation after generation. Through co-curricular activities also, multiculturalism is emphasized. For example, these co-curricular activities are serving as a platform for fostering the multicultural activities or multicultural attitudes of school. For example, yoga, karate, this music, drama, act, all these are the different co-curricular activities. By learning all those co-curricular activities, students are given an opportunity to get to know about the other culture. Celebration of different festivals also promotes the religious harmony in schools. Culture can be depicted through art, folk, dance, drama, music, etc. Cultural fairs, institutional fest also and competitions, conducting different competitions also gives an opportunity to the students to get to know about other culture. Visit to historical places, museum, reinforce the common cultural heritage also should be emphasized in school education. Use of any short film, documentaries in order to promote the secular thoughts among the students. What is the role of school in order to provide the multiculturalism? With regard to admission, students should not be given treated differently, and students should be given treated equally by admitting all the students. So displaying the thoughts of different religions, cultures will make all students to have a sort of feeling of being accepted. So by admitting all the students from varied culture is the main responsibility of the school, and students should be given optional holidays to celebrate some of their own festival. For example, Holi, Onam, those festivals are important for some group of students. So those students should be given privilege to celebrate their own festival. Now, what is the role of teacher with regard to multiculturalism? Teachers should foster the critical thinking in the students. For example, teachers should promote multiculturalism in class by treating all the students without any bias and prejudice. Teachers should not be partial at all. Teachers are expected to treat all the students, and teachers are expected to help the students to respect other culture by motivating all the students to participate in class activities. For example, a group activity could be given in which students from different culture should be encouraged to come out and talk about their culture, by which other students will get to know about other culture and they will respect. So schools should express the interest in the ethnic background of the students by making them to share about their culture. For example, teachers are also even asked to express their own views with regard to other culture, and students also could be asked to talk about their own hometown, by which others will come to know about the other culture. Some key learnings are significant role of democratic practices in education we have learned, reflection of multiculturalism in all the educational practices we have come across with. Let me ask you two questions. As a teacher, how will you promote democracy in your classroom setting? What are the activities you would do in order to promote democracy in your classroom? What are your suggestions to improve multicultural education? I have given you some books for your further reading. Thank you for listening, students. Wish you all good luck.